yesterday. So we were discussing how Rabbi Nachman says that in order for a person to get honor that people will not question, rather it will be true honor, he has to go and make efforts to give honor to Hashem. And a person, how will be able to go and give honor to Hashem and therefore get honor himself, is only through teshuvah. And what's the main sign that you really did teshuvah? Is if you're able to listen to somebody insulting you and you remain quiet and you do not say anything, rather you accept it from Hashem. And we said that when you do this, you tap into the very powerful name of Hashem called Eheke, the I will be as I will be, like we said in the Sefer Shemot. This is the very powerful name associated with Teshuvah, and you tap into that power when you are quiet, when someone insults you. Now, he says a person has to also tap into the power of doing Teshuvah on Teshuvah. What's Teshuvah on Teshuvah? He says a person all his life technically has to be doing Teshuvah. Why? He says because a person, this teshuvah, right? Let's say he's not doing any mitzvot whatsoever, and then he ate chachke, he broke Shabbat, he wasn't, keeping family purity, all these things, and then he does teshuvah. He stops doing all those things. He does a lot of mitzvot, and he's learning, he's keeping Shabbat, he's kosher, doing everything A to Z. So he did teshuvah, right? You think that's it? He did teshuvah? No. Even now, he has to do teshuvah on top of his teshuvah. That means now he learns more Torah, and now he grows more, and he's on a higher level spiritually. So he's saying that now, comparison to where you were when you originally did teshuvah, you learned so much more, and you're on a higher level. So now where you are now, compared to where you were when you started doing teshuvah, you're on a higher level. So now you have to go and do teshuvah that you were on that level only, right? The person, when he just started learning, right? He knew Hashem this much, let's say. And now when he learned more and he grew, he now knows Hashem this much. He knows so much more about Hashem. He sees more greatness of Hashem. So therefore, you have to do teshuvah also on this, that you knew Hashem only very little. Now you know Hashem more. Wow, I knew Hashem this much. I should have served you better, Hashem. If I would have known this, what I know now, I would have known before. I would have even run closer and faster to you, Hashem. So therefore, he has to do teshuvah for this. It never ends, right? So therefore, a person, every day you should wake up. You should say, wow, I have to serve Hashem even better because I know Hashem more than I know Hashem yesterday. Therefore, he deserves even more kavod. And I didn't give him that kavod yesterday. I'm motivated more now. I enter Hashem more than I was yesterday. And therefore, I'm serving Hashem better than I am yesterday. And I should have served Hashem like this yesterday. So therefore, I have to do teshuvah on my teshuvah. So therefore, he says that constantly, all his life, you have to keep growing. And you have to do teshuvah. So therefore, he says a person has to make sure that even if you do teshuvah and you're religious, you don't stay stagnant. You have to continuously go up and up, because the Gaon Vilna famously said, if you're not going up in Judaism, you're going down. It's a constant battle that a person has to be in fourth gear, going upwards, growing, learning, on fire every day, because we're going to see, he says, that a person, in order to be able to do teshuvah and teshuvah, he has to be an expert in halacha and an expert in ratzov v'shov. Ratzov v'shov means going forwards and backwards. What does this both mean? He says, the teshuvah shlema means to know halacha. Halacha, the Gemara says, Brachot, Hashem, once the Beit HaMikdash is destroyed, he has only the 4 amot of halacha. The person wants to tap into spirituality. He wants to tap into coming close to Hashem. It's not through thinking all these, very cute, nice thoughts and, Hashem, I believe in you in my heart. I love Hashem in my heart. Those guys who don't do any mitzvot. And they tell him, do mitzvot. Oh, I love Hashem in my heart. That's not what Hashem wants. The Gemara says Hashem wants, you got to walk the walk. Do halacha. That's where you're going to find the Shekhinah. That's where you're going to tap into Hashem. So therefore, you have to be an expert in halacha. Therefore, you could be religious, but if you don't know the halacha, you're not connected to Hashem like you're supposed to. So therefore, he says you have to be expert in halacha. Rabbi Nachman says anyone who is Breslev has to learn Shulchan Aruch daily. Daily, you have to be expert in Shulchan Aruch. So therefore, it goes without saying that a person who wants to do Shuvah, he must be an expert in halacha and know halacha. On top of that, he says, he also have to be an expert in running and returning. What is running and returning? He says a lot of times people, they get very excited. They hear a lecture, they go and they heard Musar, heard Dvar Torah, they say, that's it, I'm changing my life, I'm becoming fully religious, 100%. And then what? And then he goes a month, 2 months, and then all of a sudden he hits a brick wall. All of a sudden he feels not motivated. All of a sudden he feels it's not for me, I don't know, I'm not so into it, I'm not excited. So in the beginning he was running, and now he feels like he's going down, he's returning. So you have to be an expert in running, when you have motivation, push yourself and do as much as you can. But you also have to know to stop. You have to know that when you catch yourself falling backwards, to catch yourself, to stop yourself. A person has to know not always will you be motivated. Not always will you be on fire. Not always will you feel like you want to do the mitzvot. But you have to be able to pick yourself up and do the basic minimum and keep going and pick yourself up to get yourself back into motivation. A person a lot of times is like the moon. The Jewish people bless the moon. The moon one day is big, one day it's small, one day it's a lot of light, someday it looks like a banana. You also will feel like that, and sometimes a person will feel super motivated for Hashem. Some days you have no motivation. You have to know to be an expert, to do a lot when you feel like you don't want to do a lot. And even when you feel like you want to do a little, you still have to do your basic minimum, and you have to get yourself out of that rut and motivate yourself not to be in that low state anymore. So therefore, this is what it means, do full teshuvah. Baruch